Why do I want to open a gallery? About 3 years ago, I was asked a question if there was anything I could do in the world and be assured of success. I had answered, and I'd completely forgotten this, that I answered I would open an internationally renowned gallery, and not from a reason of making money. That's not the purpose for me, but the experience of supporting artists and working with artists. I have a sculpture background, but I went to fine art school, started a fine arts degree, and then I decided to start traveling, and I came back about 5 years later and didn't finish my fine arts degree. But for me, working with artists and promoting other people is something that I've always done well, is when I see the potential in somebody else for what they can do in their life. I like to support that, and I like to help people see what it is that they can do and where they can go with certain directions, especially if they haven't seen it themselves. And I often find when I talk to artists that there's just something that they need to do to change what they're offering just a little bit, or they just need support, or they just need a venue where somebody can see what it is that they have to offer. And one of the things I find with art is that what artists bring out and what they offer to the community and what they offer of themselves, it's really a beautiful thing. Many people I know liken it to having a child. When you talk to an artist and you talk to them about their piece that they are creating, and that piece that it's like that moment of taking it from inside their soul to outside is really a beautiful experience. And I really want to support that for people in the community. I'd love for artists to have that space and that safety, that place where they can put their things on the wall and they can share with the world and with their outside world a little bit of themselves. Because as an artist, you create, you are driven to create. And I don't think for most artists it's always about the money. It's about being seen, part of them being seen. And if I can create a place here which holds community and safety and communication and brings a little bit more joy and laughter and new friends and connections, it just seems like a pretty good way to live your life day in and day out. It's a good reason to get out of bed in the morning. And so it's kind of, for me, it's a lot about the connections that it builds between people, not necessarily really at all about making money or becoming famous. That's not a bad thing. That's very much easy to support and great if it happens. But that's not one of my drives. I think it's about having a really good reason to get up in the morning. And I think being with people and having great friendships is one of the best reasons to do it. So yeah, and being surrounded by art all day and watching people enjoy art and come in, and when somebody looks at a piece, I think, as I mentioned before, somebody looks at a piece and they see something in it that they didn't see before, and they learn something more about themselves and who they are and what they like and what they want from this world and what they want from themselves even. The things that art can inspire in people and this world of ours, I think is really something that has to be supported. And it's fun. We had challenged, we were trying to think of a name, and so we came up with the idea of naming the gallery something that people would remember, and that Canadians seem to have trouble naming things. And so we came up with, let's call it something strange like couch, and here we are. So we have the couch. But I found the couch before we found the space, and it's very comfortable, and it's going to be sort of a main part of what we're about. So, couch, and that's kind of fun.
So couch, but it has another meaning.
Oh, couching. Before, when we were looking up definitions for what couch means, we didn't know that one of the meanings of it is actually to prepare a canvas for painting, and then we knew it was the right name for the gallery one, because to couch your words, and some other definitions that we came up with were couching is how you prepare grains for making a mash for liquor. Like if you're making scotch, so you can couch your grains, and we like our scotch and things like that, and our whiskey. So it just kind of all made sense in many different ways, and I like the name. It's kind of playful, and with that we're going to add some definitions to around the gallery and on the website, and we've put the asterisks at the end of couch, and that's sort of the asterisk means that there is another meaning. So throughout time we're just going to throw up some different definitions and what definitions might come up for people and of life, but mainly it's about having fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with just doing this and bringing art into the community, and I'd really like the gallery to be like a community gallery, not necessarily community in the traditional sense of the word, but a community gallery, and that people feel comfortable in coming in and spending time. Like the first two things that I bought for the space was the couch and a coffee machine, and now next, and go out and buy the wine fridge, but I would really like it to be an accessible space where people feel that they can just drop in, and it's not really about buying art so much as it is about coming in and enjoying. So mainly the artists that we're going to have are contemporary art and sculpture, because I have a sculpture background, and paintings. I quite like abstract paintings personally, so I'm imagining that there'll be some abstract shows, but I'm also aware that it's not really about what I like, it's about what other people like. But I do like a lot of abstract work, and one thing that we're able to do that I think is a bit different is that we're able to travel quite extensively to go and find artists, and that's something that we're really interested in, is being able to go to Europe, into like Eastern Europe, in parts of Europe that aren't really open to the arts or to the international world of the arts, like we are, and that so you can go and work with artists and bring them to the West and show them here. We saw one artist when we were in Paris a little while ago, somebody that had been in one of the Eastern Bloc countries, and they had never shown their work outside of their hometown, and you could really see that in the work. Like you could see the innocence, you could see the true expression of what they were putting out to the world, and it was really just a great experience to see the world coming together into one place from different aspects. And yeah, so we're looking forward to being able to bring more of that, go farther afield into the world and bringing it into one spot, which I think will be quite fun. And seeing how it all works together. If we can find an artist in New Zealand and put them with somebody from Denmark, and see how they juxtapose to each other, two entirely different people that will probably maybe never meet, but they might meet, and being on exhibition together here in Victoria. And to do this in such a small town on the west coast of Canada, well, small city, but I find Victoria to be quite international that way, and kind of fun in that. So I think it's going to be a great exploration. But for now, some of the artists that I have regional artists and international artists, and this artist in particular, this is Heather Jantz. This is a bronze driftwood sculpture. It's a bronze casting from a true driftwood piece, and she's been sculpting for about 25 years. And these pieces, she has full-size horses made from driftwood, and she's bronzing those as well. I've just brought this one over for now because this is a more transportable creature. This is called Sugar Babe, and Sugar Babe is one of 5 castings, and she's very sweet. It's hard to see her face, but she is. The skill that Heather has with her pieces is really like nothing I've ever seen considering that this is a casting of a driftwood, like understanding of it's a piece of bark, and she is able to, sometimes it takes her up to about 2 years to make some of her bigger pieces, which I find she builds until it's right, which I really appreciate. And like these little things where she finds a piece of wood that represents a tendon. She raised Arabian horses. She was breeding them when she was younger, so she has such an understanding of the horse's way, the horse's body, like how she knows how they move, she knows how they stand, and then on top of that, she is able to sculpt it. She's able to give it that artistic something that just makes it more than just a representation of a horse. And so Heather is is from England. One of my painters is Blythe Scott. She's from Glasgow, but she's now living here in Victoria. She's lovely, bright and colorful, and lots of joy in her pieces. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that looks here. She's part of the opening, and she's going to be bright. I also have an emerging artist from the States. His name is Emerson Schreiner, and he's just very sweet in his 20s. He's been practicing since, I think, he's been drawing, and I don't know how long he's been exhibiting for, probably about 5 years, but he's just got this lovely, sweet innocence about him, and so some of his pieces are more figurative. And I have a basket weaver from Salt Spring, and I just found her through MISA, the Chosen International School of the Arts, and I just found her through the website. And this lady I found on the internet through a friend of mine who was doing some landscaping at our house. She said, you have to check her out, because another aspect to this gallery that I would like to develop is sculpture outside, and bringing art outside. That art doesn't have to be just inside or just under lighting, or that it's more about making art part of your life, part of your everyday life. That I grew up surrounded by art. My parents were collectors, and but a good friend of mine had a garden, and in her garden she'd have a piece of pottery, just like a big vase would sit there. You'd go around the corner and there'd be a vase. And so art became part of inside and outside. It wasn't just something to be sort of put up on a pedestal and left to be admired. It was to be lived with, which I think is really important too.
show quite a considerable number of pieces of work here. And I do have a show in May, which I was really focusing on, but this has been sort of neatly shoehorned into the space. So it's all come together very, very quickly. I was here on Sunday, and you could barely see the bones of the gallery, but now it's kind of a miracle that she's pulled it together at the last minute, and it all looks great. It's everything that an artist would want, I think. Beautiful, smooth walls, great lighting, very interesting positioning of the walls, and lots of different scales of